Hey guys, so Path of Exile 2 has been out for a couple of weeks now. I'm currently in the end game. I'm pushing like T10, T11 maps. Haven't really tried any higher yet. I've been messing around with it a lot. I made my own build. I'm having a lot of fun going through the game. And there are a few things that Path of Exile 2 does really, really well. And that's not to say the game is perfect, because there are things that need improvement or things that can be done differently, but I will leave that for a separate video. So first and foremost, one of the most amazing things about this game is its graphics. The detail in every little bit of it, the mist, all the like plants and stuff, like going through it. It's so beautiful and it's so gorgeous to just like go around the game. Like even these logs, right? They look so realistic. And I think that's an amazing thing for the game. Like the water graphics are phenomenal, the skill graphics are phenomenal. Everything just looks like super flushed out. So I think they did a tremendous job with that. The next thing I want to talk about is the skill gems, and this is a big improvement over Path of Exile 1 because you no longer have to put it in your gear. So it's a lot easier to upgrade your gear without being like, hey, I need an item that has this many slots and they all have to be connected. And that was a huge pain, to be honest. And it made gearing yourself up as you progress through the game, especially in the early levels, a lot more difficult. Whereas now you have a separate thing for skill gems. You can put them in, and you can put your support gems. So when you go in, basically, you have your skill gems, you have your support gems. There's a couple other ones for like your herald skills. Reservation works beautifully now. Instead of reserving life or mana, there's a separate bar called Spirit, which you can reserve and you can increase at your own pace. But you basically can pick like whichever skill you want, and it tells you for which weapons they're usable. The supports will give you, depending on the skill that you click, will give you the recommended options, as well as if you take these off, it'll give you all options. If you're trying to make like super intricate builds, you can see exactly what support gems work for that specific skill. And again, they will have your initial skill, and they'll go up to 5 slots. I do think it's a little bit convoluted getting that 4th and 5th slot. In terms of where I am, I haven't yet to even see one drop. And because of that, they're relatively expensive to buy. The next thing that does, the Path of Exile 2 does really, really well, and this was something that was very much needed in the game, especially because trade, you go through the website itself, which I don't mind because it's so specific and it lets you find exactly what you're looking for. But the currency exchange is now in your hideout, and I believe you first get it once you get the Act 1 Cruel mode, where you basically get to pick exactly what you want. So let's say I want Chaos Orbs, and I want to trade Exalted Orbs for them. So you can put how many Chaos you want, for how many Exalted you want to give for them, and it'll tell you the average market ratio here as well. And you can go based off of that. You can, like, if you're trying to get a really quick trade, maybe just put a bit more of what you have. If you're not really in a rush but need stuff, put a bit more of what you want, and as long as it's close, it will eventually get to that point. So this to me is really, really good because it lets me convert all my currency, especially to like exalts or divines or stuff that I used to buy and trade for other items as well, and it's no longer a pain in the ass. Another great thing nowadays is the mapping system. So before, you kind of had to get maps at specific maps, specific tiers, and they all had to be connected. And if you didn't get that map, you couldn't progress. You had to buy it. Whereas they kind of changed it now, where all of your map tiers are just individual map tiers, and you just take whichever tier you need to go to. And this is your atlas, which is now huge. It expands, however, I think infinitely for the purpose of it, because you can't really go back. But you can pick a map, and then you put it in, and then you go and do Mire, for example, at a tier 5 level, and it'll also tell you that these maps have like a ritual thing in it, which is nice. Or if you go, for example, let's see, so you want to go to like Lofty Summit, you put your map in again. Now you can do Lofty Summit at level 5, and this area is corrupted, so the monsters are a level higher. So all this stuff makes it a lot nicer and a lot easier. Yeah, you'll sometimes get maybe maps that you don't want to do, and if that's really the case, then you know what, throw in a low tier map, and then you'll unlock the next one. So if I don't want to do Blooming Field and I like Mire, I can just put in like a low map, blast through this, and then put a really juiced up map that I enjoy doing for that specific map that I want. Of course, there's like boss encounters and other stuff like that. Not all not all maps have bosses, but you can look out for them. So this symbol right here, I don't think I have one open, but this symbol here, there's 3 of them right beside each other that I want to do. All have a boss in them, and that's it's super nice to tell what exactly you're kind of going for. So if there's no boss, you're gonna go kill golden elites. If there's a boss, you're gonna go kill the boss, and that's pretty much how it goes. Skill tree is something else that Path of Exile 2 does really, really well. And instead of kind of starting randomly throughout the tree where you did in Path of Exile 1, you start in the middle and you branch out depending on which class you took and which path you really want to go. And they took a lot of stuff out, so you can't really get like as much health from the tree as you could before, which in a way is nice because every build, unless it's very like niche, it would kind of like search those nodes out. So you can kind of like go for damage, you can go for ailment chances, and it feels a lot easier to navigate the tree in Path of Exile 2 than it is in Path of Exile 1. Like I pretty much made my own build. You know, if you want to start like here and then you trying to get like nodes over here, it's super simple. You just like branch out here and then go all the way around very, very quickly, and then you can play with those nodes and those skill points. So I think this tree is an improvement over the original. It's definitely a new tree, so it's a new learning curve of like where you're trying to get, what you're trying to do. But I feel like it's been dumbed down enough that it's not as daunting for newer players to get into and to understand. Whereas like someone like me, for example, I couldn't make my own like full end game Path of Exile build in PoE 1 to save my life, really. And I'm having a lot more success this time around. I've never looked up a guide yet. I'm doing just fine with the build that I made, and I'm relatively happy with it. So the last thing I want to talk about is the boss fights in Path of Exile 2. And I think they did a tremendous job with implementing bosses kind of everywhere throughout the campaign, and they're not really like, they're not hard bosses, but they're not easy per se. They do have mechanics that you have to do, ways you have to dodge stuff in order to, like, you know, not get hit by stuff, not die to stuff. And they've just been really, really cool boss fights that I've very much enjoyed, especially early on when you're, you know, you don't have a boss killing build, you're not one-shotting bosses, and you have to like do the fights themselves. That was honestly one of the most fun things to do through the campaign. I was actively searching out for these bosses to to fight, and you know, sometimes I'd get stomped and it would take me a few tries before I managed to beat it, before I understood like how I'm supposed to dodge certain attacks. And it wasn't to a degree where it was frustrating. I didn't spend like hours upon hours just trying to fight this like one boss. I think the most I failed on a boss was 4 times, which isn't bad at all, right? Like, then that includes the act bosses themselves. So I'm really happy with how Grinding Gear Games turned out to do the campaign, how cool and fun these bosses actually are. It really has been a blast. Anyways, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comments below what things you think Path of Exile 2 did great, or what things you think they did bad, and maybe I'll put that in the next video where I will talk about some of the stuff that still needs improvement for the game. But so far, so good. I'm really happy with how good the game is in its current state, despite its shortcomings. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I hope you are too. Anyways, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more Path of Exile 2 content, and I'll see you next time. Peace.